free, Skaro! Hello, everyone. Welcome to Radio Free Skaro, episode number 960. I'm Stephen in Edmonton.
Born in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
It's a new era, folks. It's a new era in Doctor Who. It's a new era in Eurovision. Not really.
Whatever you say. All the controversy. You don't know about it, but... Yeah.
Oh, no.
I know about Israel, but that's about all I know about it.
There's more. The Netherlands got kicked out, so...
Did it? What?
Yeah. I actually didn't know that. CBC. CBC is my pipeline to any and all Eurovision knowledge. They just, the headline, they'll put it somewhere near the back and talk about it. I'm like, oh, now I know that thing that I didn't need to know.
When I was going through my RSS app earlier, I saw something from CTV about the Netherlands being kicked out, but yeah.
Wow. I am so intrigued by that. I'm legitimately intrigued by Netherlands being kicked out of Eurovision.
They're one of the favorites, one of the top 5 or so.
I think the performer was like intimidating people. Like, surprise, a performer is a raging egomaniac. I could never see that one coming.
That never happens like that. But enough about our
details
review.
Aren't fully known. So
enough about our review of the Devil's Court. We have to get to the the first episode of 2 episodes. First time in history in Doctor Who, the 2 episodes have dropped at the same time. Unless you were like us watching KSPS in the 1980s, and you stayed up late to watch, Enlightenment, and then suddenly it was followed by The King's Demons as well. That was like the only... Happen? Oh yeah, all the time,
okay,
all the time. They would throw the 2-part omnibus on after a 4-part story.
Well, you're up at 1 a.m. What the hell? Sure.
Right now, you get to experience Doctor Who the way we did, UK, by staying up late to watch. Filler episodes of Doctor Who, I guess, basically.
Nothing's filler. How dare you?
Nothing's filler.
Of the classic series.
Yes, but let's start off. Let's start off, kids. It's our review of Space Babies, the very first episode of Season 1 of Disney Plus's Doctor Who, written by Russell T Davies, directed by Julie Ann Robinson. Yeah, Doctor Who and Ruby Sunday it picks up immediately after the end of Church on Ruby Road. They go off, they go and have adventures, they land at a space station. It's filled with space babies that talk. There's a bogey monster, and they win. The end.
Pretty much it.
Well, they kind of win. They go off to a place after all that, but...
and they save everybody, so there's that.
Yeah, just because... I think I want, Warren, your initial reaction for the second episode.
Okay.
Second, I'm going to ask you first about Space Babies. What do you think of Space Babies,
I didn't
Warren?
mind it. Like, it was as per usual. Like, this isn't always what happens, but usually the first episode is a fun bit of fluff to set the table, and that's exactly what this was. I'm going to just get the snot out in the open. That was unnecessary. I mean, I realized I had Chekhov's tissue there at the beginning, so I should have seen that coming.
Right.
And then they're talking and hammering it home. Like, okay, fine, we get it. All right, fine, whatever. I mean, they've done it before in Sleep No More, and it was less gross there. but I mean, I get it makes internal logical sense in the story itself. It's kind of dumb, but that's the only thing I didn't really care for in it. Like, it was all except those kids. I like all that lip sync stuff doesn't quite work, which is not the show's fault. It never quite works. Like, it's just seeing a baby talk like that, your brain goes, no, that doesn't happen. But they all looked so nervous the whole time that I was like on edge, worried for these kids, these poor little guys, because they all look like they're like hour 6 of shooting, and they're like, I just want to poop and have a candy.
They would do
I just felt so bad for them. But other than that, like, it was fun. Then Millie and Ncuti are easy to watch. Like, they have great chemistry together to just, as we'll get to in the second one, whatever they're doing is entertaining regardless of what's actually happening on screen. So because they just have good banter back and forth. And like, again, it was in charm, and she's great in the role of what's happening, but interestingly. And I did enjoy the swearing that got papered over by the filter, I like that they crafted that well. I thought, what a pile of excrement this is.
Yeah.
So I think that was nicely done. I mean, they could have overdone it and they didn't, so I don't think so. So that was fine.
Yeah.
As these kind of, it looks great. You can see where the when the TARDIS flies into the station, you can there's the Disney money. That looked really good.
Yeah.
And so did the monster. Like the monster looked pretty decent, all things considered.
Yeah, no. Well, it's it was a physical monster with obviously some CG embellishments there.
With the goop coming off it,
yeah, the goop coming off the snow.
And the doctor got to do a heroic thing, flying around and inside that that containment unit or whatever, airlock.
Yeah, that's what I like the most. I mean, I love watching the Doctor. I love Ncuti Gatwa. He's great.
Oh yeah.
He is super. I mean, we see his first I mean, I suppose his first episode was Church and Ruby Road, obviously.
Yeah, which I watched previous to all this just to get familiarized with it again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no, I should say his first episode obviously was the end of the giggle, but even then I felt like, well, he's just kind of sharing a stage right now, and
you're all caught up in the hoopla of that one, so yeah,
a little bit, and then it's Christmas time, I think, okay, new Doctor and everything, but even then I felt like we didn't quite get Ncuti Gatwa at his Ncuti Gatwa-ish best,
which I think we sort of got more of that here, and definitely in the second one too.
I think so too. Yeah.
So yeah, it was a lot of fun. Would I go back and watch it again anytime soon? Like, is it the only one that I really would is 11th Hour anyway, when you get right down to it. So the rest of them I just kind of Moon of Filled Earth is pretty damn good for a starting one too. So but I never went back to that until we covered it for another reason. So for a miniscope, I think. So just generally the 11th Hour is the only one that really sticks out to me as the one I'll go back and watch over and over and over again. So in that way, this is no different than most of the rest of them, right? So
true. Yeah, Chris, your initial impressions of Space Babies. Space Babies. I love the way the Ncuti Gatwa
I don't understand
kept saying that.
He kept correcting himself and saying Space Babies.
I loved it. I love the way. I love that one time when he says, "Oh, Space Babies." That was fun. I love the way he did it. But anyway, Chris, Space Babies. The episode, not so much the phrase.
Not shizzle.
Wow. Translate that for those of us who don't marinate in the 90s.
Well, because Ncuti says shizzle at the end.
Yeah.
When he's about to say the S word, and then Jocelyn steps in.
Okay, that was actually pretty well done.
Nanny filter, and he says shizzle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fine. It was okay. I mean, it's a wackadoo start to a season, and I mean, one of my first thoughts after the fact was only RTD would write a story about space babies and a space station with a poop engine.
I forgot about that, yeah.
And snot monster and all that kind of stuff.
There's that Disney money.
But I decided after the fact to just like Google the term snot monster to see who else has done this kind of thing.
Okay. And
amongst other things, there's and I didn't think about this. This is the first one here I'm going to mention is courtesy of longtime listener Brian Snape, who I was chatting with briefly last night, who mentioned the Young Ones episode Sick, which is kind of apropos. And then as well, there's your favorite director, Warren, Robert Rodriguez did a movie.
I don't hate him. I just middling on him.
Did a 2009 movie called Shorts, starring William H. Macy, amongst others, facing a snot monster.
All right.
So he's branching out from his usual action comedy thing he's done since the 90s. Gotcha.
Sure. Yeah. And then there was Mucus Monster in Disney.
Disney.
And right as well, because is a Doctor Who can never be original. In a Big Finish story called The Dark Husband. Okay. Apparently the Seventh Doctor, Ace, and Hex have escaped from a snot monster, which covered Hex in snot. So
I didn't want to think about the sound effects.
No.
So yeah.
So there's historical precedence for snot monsters.
Snot monsters.
So if you're a Doctor Who lawyer, you're well covered.
You've got it. Yeah, this is not legally distinct. Legally distinct snot monster, I believe, is probably what we're looking at here.
And I thought the snot monster's realization could have been better.
Really?
The practical effect was on par with like the Magma Beast, man. Like it was just.
I wouldn't go that far. Also, how does it have teeth?
Did not like
what part of the anyway, don't think too hard about it.
No, don't think too hard about why it has teeth and limbs and everything else when it's just formed out of snot.
It would have been better if it wasn't two-legged, I think. I don't know. I don't like it. This is some like idiotic creation.
This is Disney money. This ain't James Cameron money.
Yeah,
I know. But so this is just like some idiotic plot point creation thing. And why would it matter what it looks like? But I don't know. If it had 4 legs, I think it might have been better. It's just where my brain goes.
Well, then it would have looked like a legit thing to say.
It would have been the Merca at that point, I think.
No, it wasn't anywhere near as bad as the Merca, which, by the way, is lower than the Magna Beast.
There was a great bit in Doctor Who Unleashed, which was available right after. We were wondering if it would be or not, but it was. And there's a great bit where there's shooting behind the scenes, basically, and it says a guy cue him, and then Shooty and Millie sort of go down the corridor, and then the Buster guy just stumbles through and then goes through, and I think this is perfect. Doctor Who has not changed in 60 years. This is exactly what they were doing 60 years ago, except they cut away from bits. So just it's the exact same show. I love it. Everything looks so cheap behind the scenes.
That's any show. You can watch any $300 million movie, and the way it's positioned makes it look like crap. Basically, if it's like a publicity still or something, and then people base entire YouTube channels on outrage over that publicity still. Not this channel, I might add.
Yeah. I thought it was going into this. And we'll obviously give our review of The Devil's Chord after this. I think I was kind of wary about this episode more than just because space babies. I'm not a fan of kids.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's the opposite.
I'm sure you've got a litany of notes as I have, Stephen. So,
I didn't make any notes, Chris, but I know you did.
I know. I sure did.
Well, I know you. Well, you make. Here's the deal, Chris. You usually make the notes, and there are talking points that we go off of. So why don't we enter them into the record?
Because I want to hear your initial impressions first.
I liked it. I liked it a lot, actually. I was surprised.
Okay.
I liked. I adore Ncuti Gatwa as the Doctor. As you were saying, Warren, I like their chemistry. It's just bang on. It's there. They
From
are
the start.
Yeah, they are a great team. I love the way when he's sort of talking about his. It's an introductory episode. I got it playing out in front of me here, so it's kind of reminding me of things. And I like watching episodes that are meant to introduce new viewers to the show and seeing how they do it and seeing how you react to it. It's interesting comparing it to Rose, where they were
I've got more on that later.
Yeah, they're not mentioning Gallifrey. They're not mentioning, all that. He's outright Gallifrey Time Lords, all that's out there. And I just love the way he sort of leans against the jukebox and says they're gone, they're gone, and sort of taps the jukebox as he tries to move on from that topic and everything.
So,
there's a natural charm to that guy that I really like.
So because I'm a Doctor Who fan, I was like, okay, so is he referring to the Master killing all the Time Lords? Because it sounds like he is. It sounds like they're not ignoring that.
Well, he
absolutely not.
He just said genocide, so...
Yeah.
Which would have to be that, right?
My brain went to the Daleks and Time War, but...
but that already got solved, right?
Yeah. They were brought back and then they were genocided again.
Yeah.
as you do.
Yeah, that's dumb. But anyway...
They are fully not ignoring it. They're really leaning into the timeless child thing with the adoption and everything like that. That is
which is fine. I just think the original idea to have the Master kill the Time Lords again was kind of lazy. But anyway.
Right. I do kind of like that there are now established things that you kind of do. Warren, you messaged me yesterday. I think there's still nothing beats the companion first walking into the TARDIS.
Oh yeah, it's never going to get old.
That's an established thing. I kind of like now that rewiring the companion's phone so they can talk to loved ones across time and space is kind of a thing. That was kind of from, almost a mirror scene, kind of like George Lucas says, at that history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes, and the scene on the space where they, they're looking out at space and stuff like that. And it very much mirrors the scene in The End of the World, where they do the same thing basically, which is kind of cool. Yeah, I think any of the sort of the slightness of the episode, I think, is overcome by the sheer charisma and energy by the two leads. And I like the madcap energy in the comedy bits, but I like, which we didn't get to see a lot of in Church on Ruby Road, is the dramatic action bits, like you were saying, Warren, when he has the heroic thing. I like when he's sort of like saying, oh, but let me help you. He says, no, second left, go. He was telling do this thing. I got to do this right now. And
I mean, this is a young guy. We should. He's got the energy that say somebody like Capaldi, not to slight Capaldi, but somebody like Capaldi who's 40 years older wouldn't have. So might as well make use of that.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, Chris, I liked this episode. I liked it.
I liked it. Yeah.
I liked I quite liked how they really worked in, like, what's the deal with like the snow and everything. Like everything takes back to the Christmas. Like I like the way it was shot. I like the sort of the mystery to it. It was given some weight and some heft.
I don't think I threw anything in my notes about this, but I mean, RTD has been on record saying that Ruby Sunday is supposed to be this enigmatic mystery thing. And
they've never done that before, so
no.
The climax to series 2 is where we I assume get that solved, or
Season
whatever.
2, please, Chris, please.
2. But they don't have hit you over the head with that kind of stuff.
I don't mind
between this and Devil's Chord, so I expect we're gonna get more of that in your faceness.
Yeah, to be fair, Stephen Moffat did hit you in the face with this a lot more.
The scene where he's like looking at the screen there is like very much like Matt Smith's doctor going, is Amy pregnant or not? Like it's almost exactly the same.
But seemed less creepy.
Notes, yep.
Yeah. Slightly less creepy.
But by the way, that snow, I watched that and I'm like, oh, okay, so Disney money can't solve every problem. That is some After Effects looking snow.
Well, the way it's sort of like melts away in his hand a little bit.
I don't know why it's snow other than like, I guess we're so used to seeing potato flakes or whatever.
Yeah.
The real thing just looks like, even if it isn't the real thing, looks more like the real thing than clearly, obviously CG snow.
Take it from 3 Canadians, all right? We know what snow looks like. And
we've got the snow in Ruby Road. We've got the snow in the corridor here. As we'll get to, we've got the nuclear winter snow,
which looked way better
in the Devil's Chord.
Yeah.
So is this a theme or is this just coincidence?
No, I think it's just tying back to because even the snow when we'll talk about later when we do the Devil's Chord thing, but in there. Anyway, Chris, your notes. I liked the episode. You thought it was not shizzle. Warren liked the episode enough.
That's fine.
Your notes as talking points. I yearned to hear them.
I'm just trying to. I was going to ask Warren earlier, like where he, because you've mentioned 11th Hour.
Yeah.
As like the first.
That's just incredibly well constructed. So that's why I like it so much, because it's so well put together.
It's amazing. I was going to ask you, and you don't have to answer this, but I was going to ask you like where you might rank.
No,
this
you do have to answer this. Do not wait for the translation, Warren. Answer the question.
Where you might rank this as like a starting Doctor story. Because I mean, if you look at like tenets, like we can happily exclude Christmas Invasion and start with New Earth, and that sort of thing.
I'd sit somewhere in the middle. Like it's fine. Like it's literally just fine. Like there's nothing wrong with it really, but it's not jumping out at me.
What would you put at the bottom?
I don't know. The Capaldi one does drag on quite a bit, frankly.
Oh, I love Deep Breath.
I know you do, and it's okay, but none of them are bad. Well, except for Time of the Rowney. But
okay, well,
if we're including
modern
classic,
Who?
Yeah, okay,
modern, modern.
I don't know. It's hard to think of. Like 11 Hour is definitely top.
New Earth is absolutely my bottom, far and away.
I don't mind New Earth.
This kind of had New Earth. I mean, when you were comparing them, like it
New
feels
Earth is
kind
fun.
of like
I like New Earth. I always enjoyed it. So End of the World is pretty good too. Like, I mean, they're all decent enough, right? There's not a bad one in there. Just 11th Hour is the best one. So it's like 11th Hour, and then the rest are just kind of on this flat plane, and Space Babies is somewhere in that flat plane.
Right.
It's a Luxembourg. It's not the United States.
How's Luxembourg looking today in Eurovision?
Luxembourg's probably fine.
They qualified for the final.
Okay, all right.
First appearance in Eurovision in 30 odd years. 30
Am I
years.
right? Wasn't that the country that got created as a tax dodge? Maybe I'm wrong about that.
I don't know, but now I want to know more about this.
I could be mixing up my European tax dodge countries.
Well, probably. It's one of those micronations, which isn't quite as micro as like San Marino or Monaco or Andorra or anything like that. Yeah,
Andorra.
Andorra. Now we talk about some proper doctor. Yeah.
All right. So I'll dive into the notes then.
Let's do it.
So so we're recording this. What's it? 2.5 hours before it goes out on BBC One.
Crazy.
So of course we watched this.
Kids.
We watched this on streaming on Disney Plus.
We did
last night, our time, Friday evening.
What a absolute convenience.
So
it's devastating.
The first thing I see when I fire it up on Disney Plus is skip intro.
I saw that and I was offended. I'm like, are you kidding me?
like,
why would I ever do that?
Like,
I know. Literally everything. They do it for the Muppet Show. Why would you do it for the
They
Muppet Show?
do it for the Bad Batch. The intro is title for 2 seconds.
Like
and that's
Andor
it. Like,
is like 20.
there's no reason to skip it.
Yeah, I know.
Like I know people who if you are watching Doctor Who with them and you try skipping the opening titles, and this could be any story. Doesn't
That
matter.
friendship is over.
I've had people jumped on my throat if I try to skip the opening titles.
Oh,
so.
never.
This is like the opening of Superman the movie. You never skip those. They go on for 10 minutes. You do not skip those credits.
Every one of the things like, oh, we're going to do this for everyone. Costume supervisor. It's going, okay, we're going past the screen.
Alexander Cornelius Salkind? Hell yeah. We might have sucked. But anyway.
So that was the first wrong foot Disney Plus.
Well, I mean, it's a standard thing. Welcome to stream.
I know it's a streaming thing.
But you would, if you skipped it, you would have missed that they've corrected one of the great sins of these specials, and now the actual logo fades in as opposed to spins in, like I would do on Premiere. Let's face it. And
the best part of all this is we get to talk about opening titles on the next episode too.
That's
true.
It's exciting.
Wouldn't it be great if you hit skip intro and then it just locked on you, wouldn't let you watch? Oh, you are wrong. Disney lawyers, yeah.
The Bishop, the Ronnie, the Conquistador.
Yeah, I said Conquistador.
And here it comes.
That's the new Metabolist right there. Yeah.
The Pedant and the Saggy She.
Right.
Just the name.
As other Time Lords
As
and
other
stuff.
Time Lords, apparently.
Yeah. Also joins the Corsair and... the
Master.
The Master, obviously.
The other.
Probably some in the books.
The other.
The 11
Well, the other was in the books, yeah.
The Drax. The Monk.
Not the Drax. The Monk, the meddling monk, sure.
Yeah. The War Chief.
Mm-hmm.
Name other Time Lords.
Sure.
There you go. Yep. I think we covered them all. Yep.
I enjoyed, I don't care if we saw it in trailers or whatever. I enjoyed the stepping on a butterfly bit. Like just the whole sequence
fun.
The whole sequence of, who would step on a butterfly? You have to be all like, hey, butterfly, come here.
That was great, yeah.
And then she steps on the butterfly and does the thing. And then he's like, controls are new. I forgot about the butterfly compensation switch.
And then he Gandalfs the butterfly.
Yeah. Radagast. He Radagast Browns the butterfly.
Well, Gandalf did it as well, but yeah.
Obviously a connection to Sylvester McCoy.
Obviously.
In the Hobbit movies. Obviously.
Which we all love so much.
Another Scottish doctor, of course, as well.
Another Scottish doctor. And a tie-in to the restoration job on Let It Be, which appeared on Disney Plus
Yes, it's
2 days.
This is a YouTube channel. We have to have conspiracy theories.
Gotta have it. Here's 72 connections you missed while watching Space Babies. Exactly. Reaction shot.
There's my thumbnail.
Yeah. On YouTube, everyone. It sounded great on the podcast. Yeah.
We have a lovely Star Trek mention, of course, as well.
Oh, if they go into Star Trek, I would love. That's a crossover I want to see.
Is that like a matter transporter, like in Star Trek? We got to visit them one day.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, go film in Toronto and go to Strange New World.
We've had like in the Doctor Dances, Empty Child. You know, Rose saying to the doctor, come on, give us a little Spock and stuff like that. So I always love when the things mix.
Very meta reference.
Well, I mean, we're all getting rolled to fiction-y later on. So, I mean, maybe it's not that they're going to, because it would be a copyright nightmare, but and lawyer nonsense. It'd be the Roger Rabbit, basically, putting Star Trek and Doctor Who together. But having said that, this is more metafictional than it used to be. So I can. That's true. It's almost. You're like, well, maybe they might. Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, once Disney buys Paramount,
it's entirely possible. Yeah, that's entirely possible.
All of a sudden, Star
and then Sony at the same time. So Ghostbusters are in this for some reason.
Yeah.
We can have that Marvel, Star Trek, Star Wars, Doctor Who.
Oh God!
Basically, it's just be like one big episode of Lego Dimensions.
Yeah, you know what this is? This is every AI bro's dream. If you could just somehow get the writers out of it and have a computer make it, they'd be so happy.
Pretty much. Next up, your notes there.
I like the line, "The whole universe is knackered."
He's not wrong.
It's It's a good little throwaway catch-all, just for when maybe set design doesn't quite go to plan or something like that.
I don't know if that was that calculated, but okay.
Yeah, I don't know that, but
Yeah, I'm sure. You never know.
Also, I live in the year of our Lord 2024. The whole universe is knackered.
That's true. That's true.
Also, I'm not saying things are connected, but things connect. I love that. That's kind of poignant.
It feels like a hint to something else. I don't know what.
It kind of does. Well, I mean, later in the episode, he turns to Ruby and says, "If things aren't connected, then blah blah blah, whatever." Right. But I just like that as a thing. I love Ruby's reaction. Are the babies raised for food?
That was pretty. And he's like just disgusted.
They're not tomatoes, as he says. Yeah, raised for food. That's where her mind goes instantly.
Well,
wow.
that's just it. Like she's got this as we leave her flat. They they had Lulubelle.
Yes, right.
And she's been part of fostering however many dozens of children based on the fridge photos over the years.
33 weren't raised for food.
That just seems like such a weird place to go. Whether that's by design, I don't know. But.
Well, I mean, she has precisely one experience with alien races, and they were trying to eat a baby. That's
true. Well, those aren't even aliens, are they? The goblins? Like
the goblins,
just to be the pedant.
Alien to her. And so basically what she thinks that space is that other races eat babies.
That's a big buffet.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm trying to remember if
see where she went there.
She said that before she did the whole like logical progression thing of colony world, not therefore not Earth, therefore in outer space kind of stuff. So
yeah.
I guess knee-jerk reaction before she actually thought about it, but nevertheless it was funny.
It was amusing.
Yeah, it was amusing, yes.
Good joke.
In a very Red Dwarf fashion, like how humans speak a unified language similar to Cantonese.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
I caught a couple of Japanese, which could be Chinese characters.
Conceptually, I think that's a really cool thing. And then obviously in Red Dwarf we had Esperanto, which
didn't catch on.
Didn't catch on in reality, but they tried. So
the Linux of languages.
It really is.
Yeah.
No, there's like 8,000 distributions of Linux, so I'd say that's probably not true.
Wow, the pedant.
The pedant.
The pedant. Our Mavity reference in this episode, at least the one that I caught, was in the all the stats for Pacifico del Rio.
What did was there Mavity there?
All the numbers and stuff on the screen before it flips over to the Cantonese style thing. It mentions the Mavity.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
So I'm assuming
mostly because I'm kind of hoping that they drop it, but they probably aren't.
They're not going to. It's going to figure in somehow.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? Because we're going to talk later on about like press stuff. And our friend Kyle Anderson did an interview with Millie and Ncuti and RTD for the Nerdist, and didn't he ask about Mavity, or was that somebody else?
It might have been someone else. I don't think he asked.
I know somebody asked about the recurrence
the Mavity thing.
Whatever of Mavity, and it's not going away, I don't think.
I very much doubt it'll go away.
No, it's a thing. That's fine.
I absolutely loved all the crayon drawings and scribbles on the walls.
They were pretty great, yeah.
That is just, I don't know, just maybe a little too on the point, on the nose, but just something that I think that a ship full of, I mean, you don't know that they're 6 years old yet, but a ship full of babies,
20-year-old babies,
are going to do that. Like, that just seems so... seems so appropriate.
I love the bit in Unleash where they showed how they did that, and there's basically this young lady there drawing all this make believe baby art on there, and then she sort of goes, "Yep, 3 years of art school and all the debts incurred, and I'm doing this." And she looks at the camera, thinking, "That's genuine. She's not doing a bit. God, she's like, this is where my life has led."
On the other hand, it's still pretty cool that's on TV.
Doctor Who, Like
she's entitled to her own opinion on it, but yeah.
Yeah, I was glad to see Doctor Who Unleashed available. About which, you know what, we should mention it right now, because a listener Garth pointed out on Mastodon, I think, or Blue Sky, I can't remember, that Doctor Who Unleashed for the specials are on like iTunes here in North America. Now, just for the specials right now, I kept checking.
So $10 or something for the whole 3, I think.
Yeah, for all 4 of them. I kept checking to
4,
see if the new ones are up yet or at all. And as recording right now, they are not. But they are available in North America, so you don't have to feel bad about pirating them. But I watched
I don't feel bad.
No, I know. It reminds me of a line from Gods and Monsters, Warren, where, or is it something else? I think it's Ian McKellen in Gods and Monsters, where he goes, and they say, the sign says no smoking, and as he's smoking up, it says, I'm going to smoke. I did not expect to be thanked. Anyway,
what a fine film.
It is a great film. The Unleashed was great though, because they showed how they made the babies, and they actually got this Goodbye Kansas, I think was the name of the SFX outfit that or VFX outfit that did this or something like that, and they made computer maps of the babies' faces.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
And then they made a computer map of the young child actors who actually did the voices
and the mouths, presumably.
Yeah, they didn't just like paste a mouth on.
Like
existing baby
Cargo,
face.
Whatever the hell it's called, Clutch Cargo, that old TV show from the 70s or 60s.
I think I know what you mean. But they actually so the babies that you see are talking, because their mouth would be moving independently of their face, so they actually made CG faces of all the babies, and just sort of like.
That's so expensive. Like that's the Disney money right there. It doesn't even look like it is, but it is the Disney money. That is where the money went.
Yeah, it didn't look bad because sometimes like Eric, who I think was sort of the lead baby, so to speak. Like sometimes he would like speak, but his eyes are going all over.
He looks so nervous. I felt so scared for him. I'm like, this poor little guy.
Yeah.
Two quick things about that. Number one, every time the name Eric was said, I kept thinking Sex Education because of Ncuti Gatwa. Because his character there is Eric. And secondly, every time you see Eric the baby, he looks like he's mid-dump. Like he's halfway through.
He's a baby.
They're
always
mid-dump. I mean, that's how that was their eventual salvation. They're endless looping.
It's like the child had no expression other than halfway through blasting a dookie.
I mean, how many adults do you know like that? Probably plenty. I mean, I wouldn't cap on this kid. He's just getting. I
realize he maybe can't control his facial expressions the same way an adult can.
These actors are these SAG babies? I don't think so.
They rewrote it as babies to get around the actors strike.
Their nappies are saggy.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, the word, like the mouthing, it's very good for what it is, but it's never going to look right. It's just like seeing a dog talk in a commercial. It doesn't, it's not real. So your brain just goes, no, and you just kind of work past that.
Yeah. Exactly.
I had a note about the uncanny valleyness of the lip sync and how it just didn't look right. And it just did not sit right.
Although, there was some natural moments in there, like where
not yet. No.
Which I like about how like they're natural reacting with him, and he's like picking up Poppy and like that, and like there's a natural moment where he gets a high five from Poppy and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I bet you they probably shot for like hours over the course of several days, and then basically pieced it together in the edit. Anytime you're looking at a close up of the Doctor or Ruby talking to one of the kids, that they're talking to one of the dummy babies in the chair or like an empty chair, because they only had 2 hours a day to shoot with the kids on set. So that's probably Unleashed.
That makes sense. Some rule.
Yeah, well, some rule, and also because then they'll just get unruly, and even harder to work with.
And ejected from Eurovision.
There's a remark from Uncle Kelmo in the live stream chat about should have given the babies peanut butter like they did for those secret agent chimp shows.
That's true.
Also for dogs and other animals as well.
And Mr. Ed, the horse.
Are we done dehumanizing babies?
Yeah, a little bit.
Are they human?
Yeah. But are they? Good God, man.
They're human-esque. They're proto-human, but are they human?
I'm not getting anywhere near this swamp of nonsense.
Yeah,
there's swamps of nonsense I'm not bringing up in this recording.
Next note, Chris.
Next note. I pull this string and that string. I don't know what they do, but I pulled them very hard.
I did like the little jury-rigged bit. I was half expecting to be annoyed by all that, but I really kind of liked how they put this little toy.
That was really cute. Yeah.
Yeah, McConnell thing.
I like the whole like pride aspect of the babies. Like Poppy's like, let's show them how good the job we've been doing.
Yeah.
And it's just
they haven't been beaten down by the corporate world, despite it abandoning them, leaving them to their fate.
It is just downright adorable. And I say that I hate babies, but
I know.
I love babies.
Was adorable.
Yeah.
So I'm a real human being, the one real human being on this podcast.
Just like when the doctor calls Poppy Popsicle, like, oh,
Popsicle. Erica and I laughed at that.
So cute.
Yeah.
It's so adorable.
Yeah. Ncuti does well with babies.
Yeah.
Does really well with
he
babies.
Does.
Yeah.
You talked earlier, Stephen, about the info dump. The smack you over the head like a anvil falling out of a window info dump of stuff. And the word I used was obscene.
Whoa. Wow.
Time Lords, Gallifrey, Timeless Child, Two Hearts, Chameleon Circuit, Ruby's phone upgrade, Ruby getting a TARDIS key, whatever else I didn't say there.
I thought it worked fine.
It took 3 years for Doctor Who to even mention Gallifrey in the 2005 reboot.
That was when the British public was watching and who were like kind of needed to get eased back into this, as opposed to Disney, where it's like, all right, shove it all at them.
Well, that's just that was exactly my thought. It's like it's like they're worried about people getting into the mythos of the show, so they just like bash people over the heads. Like, here's all the info you need to know.
Yeah, but if you didn't know this stuff, which is impossible for us, a lot of it would just whoosh, and you'd find out later. Like, honestly, I think that a lot of that's just going to be white noise. Just
because as we've talked about a bajillion times so far, the world of TV now is not what the world of TV was in 2005.
Yeah, fair.
We weren't watching Rose on Disney Plus as a streaming thing.
Streaming wasn't the thing. Yeah.
The best part of a day before the UK gets it on broadcast, etc.
Or a week earlier, thanks to a DVD leak.
A month earlier.
However that worked out.
A month earlier. Just no music.
Oh yeah, a month earlier.
But the point being that the landscape of TV is so different nowadays that if the audience isn't armed with this information, they may not buy in as readily as somebody like us who already knows all this stuff.
Yep. I'm fine with it.
It didn't bother me.
I like it. I like that's what I was saying at the beginning. I like to see how they do it each time, like how they reintroduce it, because there's been so many jumping on points for Doctor Who, especially over the modern era.
It's the way it's executed. And the nadir of that would be the TV movie where they just info dump you out of nowhere, right? And that this was threaded in a little better, I think.
I thought so too. I mean, because we're the companions properly meeting the Doctor for the first time. It's always a great moment to let's go over the basics. Here I am. Who are you?
And she also goes, "Hey, what? The 1,000 years? What?" Like, so I like that.
Let's park that. Other planet. Park that. Double park 1,000 years. Yeah.
I appreciate that they can use stuff like the Timeless Child aspect to draw that parallel between the Doctor and Ruby, so they have this commonality. That works. I like that. I have no problem with that whatsoever. It's the fact that we get so much in such a rapid amount of time.
Yeah.
It just
the flip side is we're done. We don't need to do that again.
Yeah, I was more than okay with it. I liked how when you could do that and work it in, I thought it was naturally worked into a conversation, because naturally Ruby would be curious.
Or as natural as expositional television is going to be, right?
Yeah.
They have to do this at some point in some way. Every TV show does. So,
yeah, like who are... Remember, we are witnessing properly her first entrance into the TARDIS. I know we see it at the tail end of Church and
the audiences, for some people.
Yeah.
And yet there's a 6-month gap between this and the next one.
Yeah, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Unless you sign up for Disney Plus and go, oh, wait, look at that. There's 3 episodes right there. How about that? I wonder how many people actually logged into Disney Plus and thought, oh, wow, there's 3 episodes. That's just fun.
You're not wrong as far as all that goes, and then also, I guess it's important to realize that we have 8 episodes per series for this. So we're working with far fewer episodes than RTD had in 2005, like 5 per year. So
we only got 5 weeks left of this. Just kind of sobering.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's next on the old?
What's next on the list there?
Thing? The allegory of the planet not allowing the baby machines to be shut down, but they don't take care of the babies when they're born. Ooh, just a little bit of what's the right word? Verisimilitude?
Provocation.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm fine with it.
Parts of certain countries.
I'm totally fine with RTD going, you're going to call me woke? Well, here's the cards. Here's another set of cards. Here's an entirely different game's cards.
Yeah.
Like, you just go for broke, which is what he's doing. Fine with me. If it annoys a bunch of nerds to go like this on the internet, then even better.
Yeah.
Get mad, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I just wasn't quite expecting things to go there, which is fine. I mean, it's a social commentary, is something Doctor Who has done for decades and
Malcolm
decades.
Hulk rises from the grave.
Yeah.
A la Altered Beast.
Yeah, I just wasn't expecting that. Warren, you talked about it earlier, the nanny filter. OMG, that was like...
He's
the
really
best
good
part.
at that. RTD is great at that kind of stuff.
That was the best part, especially all the covering up of swears. Like,
and the actor, she was great too.
Yeah, she was.
She was really funny.
But
Gold, from Bridgerton, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's where she's from. Yeah, she's from. She played Queen Charlotte in Bridgerton.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't even have Netflix or care. So there's that.
It is Netflix too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, I like the concept of it overall, not just the swear cover-ups, but just,
But just generally, yeah. The way it makes everything more polite than it needs to be.
Invoking the deity. That was good.
All right.
Given how scared the babies are of the bogeyman,
Right.
and when it's in the airlock, the babies have no idea of the bogeyman's origin story, I find it improbable that they would complain about the bogeyman being hurt by Nanny.
So this reminds me of Waters of Mars, when newspaper headlines change to go with what you, the audience, knows and not what people would know reading a paper. That's kind of like that.
Mm-hmm. I suppose.
I don't know. Plot point issue? No?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I did notice that too, Chris, but it didn't really bother me that much.
I was hoping to take some coffee as you guys talk, but no.
Wasn't a bit. Sorry, no, not as controversial to take a coffee sip though. Although our comment about how uncontroversial would be a good time for Chris to take a sip of his coffee before.
That's papering over by us
before he sips his tea.
I'm praising myself like a common RTD.
Well done. Yeah, well done.
Yeah. The doctor says he can never take Ruby back to her birth. Why does that make me think that's exactly what's going to happen in time?
Probably because he knows that, oh wait, I did this before. And
Father's Day flashbacks.
Bad news. So let's just get that out of your head right now. Thinking, oh, I never thought about that. Oh, well, thanks for Streisanding that away. That's all I can think about now is going back in time.
Which I guarantee now, of course, they're going to do, right? To some point. I
mean,
look at Ruby Road. They don't set up all that mysterious hooded figure stuff and not do that.
That'd be hilarious if they set it all up and says, "Oh well, you said they're not going back, so let's."
I said I'm not. So bye.
Dust our hands thusly.
Yeah, especially when they bring back the flashback to that, and the events change with the person pointing at the doctor.
Yeah.
And then Stephen, you already called. Last thing I have is what you already called out, Stephen, with the doctor scanning Ruby, like Matt Smith's doctor scanned Amy.
Yep.
Back in Series 6.
First time we get to see the scanner properly in
True.
the Doctor 2, which I liked. Yeah.
And it does. I didn't freeze frame or anything, but I did very clearly say that it says that she's human. So
human. And all that,
What I like about this is that how do I put this gently? Moffat tends to put this kind of thing more on a pedestal than RTD does. You know what I mean? Like, she is the impossible girl, but it's not endlessly. Much as I love RTD's writing style, he did endlessly hammer that into our heads. And RTD is just like, okay, this is a thing. Just kind of pay attention a little bit and let's move on to the next thing, which I like that he's doing that. Yeah,
me too. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But I don't mind. I don't mind the mystery to it all. And I like Ncuti Gatwa's performance enough. And I like how he was slightly devious at that point. So they go, oh yeah, go ahead. I'll catch you up and sort of to have a look at the scanner stuff, I like a mysterious doctor a little bit. And I feel like Ncuti Gatwa is probably a little less mysterious in these two episodes. He's very approachable and fun to be with and everything like that. But I do like that little sense of mystery. And
it's nice to have that aspect because it's like, this is a guy who looks like in his early 20s, because the actor is.
Yeah.
Or 30 or whatever he is. But this is actually a 2,000-year-old person who would have this level of guile to him. Or guile's maybe too negative, but you know what I'm saying. Like, there's more to this guy than she knows about and that he looks like, because he looks like a young guy. And no, there's actually way more to him than that.
Yep. Indeed. Well, Chris, your notes are done for
Yep.
for that. Any final comments? Given that we've been talking for about the duration of the episode, Space Babies, before we move on to episode 2. Any
adequate
closing...
night out. There's my theater review.
There you are. Hat tip to Neil Perriman's A Perfect Night In. Chris, any final closing statement on this? Space Babes. Don't call
I'm
me
not going to rush out. I'm not going to rush to watch it again anytime soon.
Yeah.
I think is kind of the bottom line. I didn't hate it. It was enjoyable enough.
All right.
Some of it I quite enjoyed. I certainly got a lot more out of it the second time I went through it versus the first, because
Right.
I had the chance to go through each twice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it's I'm curious to see where it fits in with all the arcs, with Ruby and the One Who Waits and the Pantheon and like whatever, all that kind of stuff, and
all that stuff,
that we may or may not get a payoff to in this season.
Ooh, we shall see. Well, that wraps up our episode 1 review of Space Babies, and now it's time to talk about The Devil's Chord, episode 2 of Doctor Who season 1 on Disney Plus, written by Russell T Davies again, somewhat expertly directed by Ben Chisel. I thought it was which we talk about this. Notice how I did not go to Warren for his initial reaction to this. Chris, I'm going to ask you for your initial reaction.
Yeah, I like this one a whole lot less.
Oh, here we go. Devil's
Hello,
Chord.
Chris.
Here
Welcome
we
to
go.
my neighborhood.
All right.
Yeah, just not a fan. The whole premise just did not sit well with me.
Mhm.
Well, brace yourself for the rest of the season, because I'm pretty sure we're getting more of this.
I'm really curious to find out what you have to say, Warren. Really curious.
You can pretty
know,
much
like-
guess most of it.
I don't know how many of my notes I'm gonna just ruin or whatever by saying things at this point, but like I had no concept of Jinkx Monsoon.
No, me neither.
I'm told by my better half that on Drag Race they were incredibly over the top, and I guess that's probably why they were hired for this. And,
Right.
And I didn't have any issues with their performance or anything like that. In fact, I quite liked the wackadoo-ness of their behavior, like, you know, talk, scream,
Right.
like just the shift on a dime kind of thing.
Batman villain-y kind of.
It's very
much so.
very
Very
comic
66
book,
Batman
very
villain.
comic book,
yeah.
and I don't know. I'll get into more later, but no, this is not one I overly cared for.
All right, Warren.
Okay, all right.
Chris has yielded the floor. He's
There were
yielded
bits-
his time.
Let me first highlight something I thought was great in this one, which is the entire silent sequence, which I thought was incredibly well done. Like that's my favorite part of the whole thing.
Okay,
It was
that was really good.
really well done. Like that whole, and that's down to the filmmaking and I guess the acting too. But
Yeah.
yeah, that part was great. There's bits and pieces of this I like, but the initial story didn't, like, music's gone away, and I didn't really care in the first place. And then I have no concept of Jinkx Monsoon. Sorry,
And
go ahead, Chris.
it starts off with, Henry. Oh, what's his last name? Oh, I don't know. So Henry Arbinger. Like, come on.
Fudge.
Come on.
I mean, that's a little silly, but it's the least little silly
Wipe
thing.
my
in this
ass
whole
with
thing.
better writing than that.
So anyway, I had, like you, I had no concept. I found out who Jinkx Monsoon was because they got cast in this, and them, as they say in the thing, they refer themselves as them. So I'm going to try and keep to that. Anyway,
For what it's worth, everyone kept calling Jinkx she. Jinkx is she when Jinkx
But
is
the
in
character is them. Maestro is
but the
them.
person who when they're not Jinkx is they. So
okay. Anyway, they, I thought, and maybe this is by design, probably is by design, but as somebody who doesn't watch Drag Race, doesn't care about any of that stuff, and it's fine, and people can enjoy it, it's just not for me. The range seemed to be, I'm furious, and now I'm laughing, and it's all very surface level, one note. Like, they got two expressions. One is I'm doing something sinister, and the other is I'm smiling about something sinister. And maybe if you're a Jinkx Monsoon fan, this is a thing that you get into, but having not seen any of that, I just was like, all right, I guess they're flouncing around, yelling about stuff, whatever.
Right.
But also, anybody who long time listener knows I do not care for musicals one bit. I couldn't care less about theater kid energy. Theater kid energy actually drains the life out of me, and this was powered almost entirely by theater kid energy.
Warren, there's always a twist at the end.
The song, which was basically me going, oh, Murray Gold's got a cameo here. That's because he's trying to graft himself into Beatles lore somehow. I came up with this conspiracy theory in my head about Murray Gold and his sinister plans, which of course are ridiculous. But yeah, that song, I just went into a fugue state for that. I was like, I don't know. No. Okay, wake me up when it's over me. And again, if you like theater, this is your jam. Great. I'm happy you enjoyed it. But for me, it just the off switch on my head went like that.
I'm going to throw a couple positives out there.
There is positive stuff in this.
I feel like I want to need to. So I'm going to talk about two quick things from Ben Chessel. One was the shot on the rooftop where the doctor's standing up on the crates and the camera just pans up, and that looks really, really good.
Oh, yeah.
And then toward the end of the episode, the doctor's running down the hallways at Abbey Road.
Yeah.
And the camera's going the opposite direction.
You saw that in the trailers a lot. I was waiting for that
and
shot.
That also looks very, very good.
Yeah.
And then there's the nuclear winter stuff, which looks like a matte painting. Looks like a matte painting, did not look good.
I liked them. I thought it was good and chilling, and it's ripping off Pyramids of Mars and probably a couple other things I can't think of.
Yeah, the Pyramids of
Mars reference did not go unnoticed. Yeah,
I like that. That's sort of become a thing too. Like because you gotta educate the companion. Like, oh, we could just go back. Like we know that time is fine, and then
and it's a good way to show Ncuti have some gravitas as the Doctor too, which was nice. Also, I one thing that I absolutely loved and laughed out loud about was like, oh, we can't wear these, so they run in one door and they run out the other, and they've got costumes, and he's got bigger hair and all the rest of it. And I was like, oh, that's a beautiful way to handle it. It's like, were you explaining this? Nope, go to hell. We're not explaining a damn thing.
That song's California Soul, Warren, which features on a radio station.
Which I looked up the date because I knew it would annoy you. So
no,
67.
67, whatever. That's fine because he's got a jukebox. But that song, Warren, it features in Grand Theft Auto. It's on one of the radio stations.
Oh, that's right. It does.
So I know that song.
That's how I recognize it. I didn't know how I recognized it. But yeah. So little bits and pieces like that I liked. I liked referring to Susan and how, maybe I could go visit the timelines. Okay, we might as well get this out in the open, the whole Susan thing. Do you think they're actually building up to something, or is he just teasing us?
No. Oh, God, that was great. I loved that bit. Oh, I'm over there. I live right there.
Shoreditch, which is all Shoreditch by the time, by now, I think.
Yeah. There was, being sort of tipped off, seeing the reviews and stuff like that. And I was worried about this episode. I was more surprised. I was pleasantly surprised by large chunks of this episode.
I hate it.
I thought the dramatic aspect of it all. I like how Ncuti Gatwa and the Doctor's reaction to this new being, like he was terrified and like, oh my God, that was
cool. Yeah.
That's the toy maker's laugh. Oh my God, like he was like his reaction to it is genuine fear. I can't beat this, and they have to go hide. And as you say, the soundless sequence.
Oh, that part's great.
Superb. And even the Beatles were so inconsequential to this. Let's face it. To answer a question that I have seen in the comments, because I got my piano out and I wanted to play along as Ncuti Gatwa towards the end was playing the chord. I'm thinking, wait a second, that's a B flat, and it was like
none of this is accurate with visual stuff apparently.
But and then
I don't know anything about music, so
I'm not. I don't read music, but I do play by ear. And the chord they play at the end, I thought, oh, that's the last chord from the Day in the Life. It's not. They play a C chord. The last chord of Day in the Life is an E major.
I wondered about that, about what Beatles reference they were going to do that they get away with.
Because I thought at first it was going to be E major. I put a call out to Jess Jurkovic, who has time recording. It's not recorded his bit yet. But when Ncuti Gatwa was playing the notes, he goes into like I think it's a B flat. I think he's going to C major 7th in there at some point. But the Beatles never play C major. It's a straight on C. It feels like the opening chord of like Netflix or Apple TV Plus, oddly enough. Maybe Disney Plus. Maybe it's the opening chord of Disney Plus. But it's not. It is not, I believe, the last chord to A Day in the Life, which I thought at the time, but it's not.
Another good thing is the musical battle between the sides is pretty good.
It
isn't
Was it?
It isn't the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness musical battle, which is way better, frankly, as far as I'm concerned.
I don't remember that at all. I thought I kind of liked the overtop nature of Jinkx Monsoon.
I just get tired.
I didn't mind that, but then when we got to the music battle, and she actually says music battle, and like I don't know what
Round one.
I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what the stakes are. They're just making noise. I also hate, this is one of my, I don't like when people suddenly display musical ability and can play the piano backwards, and they're just like, it just was dumb.
Well, the Doctor's 2,000 years old.
The Doctor even says to Ruby earlier in the episode, "You're the only one in the world who has music."
And suddenly he can play it. He quite clearly can't play the guitar because he's trying to tune it even when he's sitting there. And
even though Capaldi could, so... I love how memory just kind of yanks in and out from doctor to doctor,
which is fine. But like, I just didn't know what the point of the music battle was, and it reminded me. And they even referenced I lucked out. We played catch, and I remember at the time of the Giggle thing. So they're just playing catch, and then like, well, obviously what you do is
sort of like.
Is it like some weird like battle that only we know the rules to?
Well, the doctor alludes to my show basically being a god.
Yeah, which is
and
fun.
So is this like some sort of like devil went down to Georgia kind of thing? Because Jinkx has the violin, the fiddle,
right?
Not that the doctor does, because that's a fiddle competition, but It was very out of place, and I
didn't mind it, but yeah, you're right.
I didn't think about it at the time, but your statement, Stephen, about it, that like the stakes even are basically unknown. Like,
what are they?
Yeah.
What's the end goal here? We don't know. Like, I wish that the doctor would have says, "Oh, we have to do this in order to do that." Oh no, Jinkx is starting this battle. We have to sort of do this thing, but they just sort of start playing the piano until Jinx's violin breaks, and I guess that's the end of the battle.
It fits in with all the rest of the wink, wink to the camera type stuff in the whole episode,
of which there's a lot
more later. Yeah, there's quite a bit, and I really hope this is the peak of it, because although maybe it isn't, because it looks like they're fourth walling a lot here. So.
Yeah.
They are.
I mean, let's face it. Beginning of what? Under the Lake Before the Flood. I can't remember which episode. The second part of that, where Peter Capaldi is just talking directly to camera the entire cold open with his guitar and going, Google it. Talking about bootstrap paradoxes and everything like that. And then he starts playing the Doctor Who theme on the guitar, and it leads into it. I mean, there is precedent for that.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Which is cheeky, which I kind of like.
But it's not as in universe as this is, if that makes any sense.
Because Jinkx is playing the opening piano bit on, and then it fades in, and then it's playing on the jukebox, which
and then it's fine. In the titles, which was kind of neat.
Yeah, which is kind of cool. And then of course we hear a bit of the master theme on the piano and stuff.
Saxon theme.
As according to the captions. Yeah.
Vainglorious Master a little bit, yeah.
Which means they're bringing the Master back at some point. I mean,
the Master's parked. I believe what RTD's saying. Says we're parked.
I don't believe a word RTD says. He's the father of lies.
I think he's right. I think like we had Michelle Gomez, and then suddenly we have another Master and Sacha Dhawan. Like it's done for now.
I think it was
Let's see how season 2 plays out for that.
Yeah,
I think it was on Mashable that I read that Jinkx Monsoon patterned their character after Missy.
Well,
like Missy was the basis for the insanity.
Oh, right.
Missy's my favorite Master, so I can't. I'm not going to accept that as an answer.
I loved there's lots about this episode I loved. It is odd that EMI Studios is basically just this functioning studio for bad music, but let's face it, that could be a commentary on today's music thing.
You got him.
That's one of the big things that just didn't
it didn't work as well as it should.
Before we get into too much else, Stephen, right. I think we need to address the elephant in the room.
What's that?
You've been talking about
here we go,
guitars and drum kits and whatever. You've now seen the episode. Yep. Where do you stand on the authenticity of the equipment?
I'm just going to go have a break.
It's bang on. It's bang on, I got to say. Because now that I know that it's set in February 63, the hairdos are not authentic at all. We actually never see George or Ringo. They are extras in this.
They get erasured pretty bad.
Yeah, it's funny watching the
George at least gets a mention.
He gets a mention, but like Ringo is an extra in this. Yeah. It's amazing how little he's seen in this thing.
But to be fair, up until maybe recently, it wasn't all Ringo always considered an extra, even unfairly, I would say. But people always just kind of like, that other guy. Yeah, I did like the message, from Mr. Epstein. Okay. And before, for all my many crimes of disliking theater stuff, I did Leonardo DiCaprio point as soon as George Martin showed up. So I'm no better than anybody else. It's George Martin.
I enjoyed with the subtitles that when you first see George Martin, it's just his lines, right? And it's like his second or third line before it actually says Martin.
Yeah, but I knew right off the top that's got to be George Martin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The instruments all period accurate. The microphones period accurate. That was indeed the kit that Ringo had in '63. He got the Ludwig kit. I mentioned this in earlier episodes, but yeah, full on mea culpa on my part. I guess what I should have done is jump to a conclusion. But here's the thing: I saw the hairdo and the glasses that John was wearing in early shots, and just assumed that this was being filmed, like set in '67 onwards, but it wasn't. So everything else is actually, but it's the hair and the glasses that are anachronistic.
The only thing you could say is Happy Magna Carta Day.
Happy Magna Carta Day, indeed.
Indeed. I liked how when Ruby talked about going to see the Beatles record their first album, the doctor's like, "Oh, everyone always wants to go to the Titanic or Bethlehem." Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, so, those make perfect sense.
I liked how excited he was to do it. That was cool. Mm-hmm. Also, that wasn't EMI's actual office, was it? Because I was like, I've been on Abbey Road. I've been near that building. No, it's probably not that building.
It's somewhere in Newport, probably in Wales. But what are you going to do? I noticed that we're avoiding one big thing, but I will mention that towards the very end, which I thought was really cool, on the billboard there was a billboard for Chris Waits and the Carolers. If you remember from dialogue in An Unearthly Child, so enjoy this while you can. When Susan is listening to the radio and she goes,
"That's John Smith and the Common Men."
John Smith of the Common Men started out as the Honorable Aubrey Waits, where he started out his career as Chris Waits and the Carolers.
Oh, nice! Now that is a deep cut.
That is a deep cut, and there's a billboard for it in February 1963.
Nice.
So
nice.
That was kind of neat. I love that bit.
I did, just to play on that a little bit. I did like the doctor talking about his contemporary self being cool. just being over there in Shoreditch and talking about the junkyard and Totter's Lane and all that kind of stuff.
And he's all kind of proud of it. And it's like, I'm back there. Isn't that great?
Yeah. So obviously we established that he's been there for months at the beginning of An Unearthly Child.
At least since December '62.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That I found odd. The Great Smog of London was in December of 1952, and I had wondered if that was what he was referring to, or if there was another smog in London. But I thought that was an actual error. But
it's pretty smoggy all the time.
I suppose so.
I mean,
most of which is done in CG, by the way. That was in Unleashed. They showed how they did that. That's Newport. They basically the entire background of that is pretty much CG, but it is shot in Newport. They actually did shoot on a rooftop. They actually loaded literally everything you see up on top of the rooftop, the piano and everything else.
It all looks great. I gotta say, like this new a lot of great Disney stuff. Era does look amazing.
The outfits, yep. And then they did a song at the end.
They sure did. And again, theater kids, I'm happy you're happy, but I'm not happy.
That was terrible.
It's not great. Murray Gold should stick to orchestral stuff, which he's very good at.
Even before we get into that, I think the precursor to that is when the doctor's talking about the non-diegetic nature of...
that kind of bugged me a little bit.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. So there's a scene in Luther, which is a show that was on not Lucifer. Lucifer. I always get the two mixed up. Lucifer.
Sure, why not? Yeah.
It's a show that was on Fox initially, and then Netflix picked it up.
Wacky Devil and Morose Detective. How can you mix these up?
It's exactly it. And there's a scene, like there's sort of like a will they, won't they thing going with the detective and Lucifer. And then they sort of have a moment at the end of the previous episode. And then the next episode begins where Lucifer is feeling very happy. And it starts cold open with a musical dance number to Kenny Loggins' I'm All Right. And it's about a minute and a half. And there's a great choreograph and it's all fun. And everyone's dancing around and stuff. And then everyone just sort of leaves the stage and he sits down and says, hello, detective. And that's it. And that's the end of it. And it's perfect because it's an internal monologue of how he's feeling, basically. And it's as that. And I hate musical sequences as well as you, Warren. That was note perfect and how you should do it. This is just crammed on at the end of an episode for no reason at all. And coupled with that, it's a bad song.
Oh, it's goblin
not
bad.
A good
Also a bad
song. They have tried it in 2 out of the last 3 episodes, and both songs are actually bad.
I'm assuming it's a Murray Gold joint.
Yeah,
it's
a Murray Gold
Gold
work
joint.
release program of some sort. Like, what's going on here?
Sorry, Murray, you can't do these songs.
No,
they're
you are
not good.
phenomenal. You have written the soundtrack of my 2000s and 2010s with your music.
Well,
Yeah,
thinking back to the 2005 reboot. What was the first time we saw something like that? Was it Voyage to the Damned?
Or did we see
but that
was
I
even
think
the
you're right.
band
Yeah.
playing. No, well, I mean, there was the Dalek 2-parter in New York. The Devil in Me, or whatever it was called, because it was a stage show. It was a
That's
stage
different.
show.
Yeah, it's part of the background. It's like the thing in the Murder on the Space Express. What the hell it's called? I can't remember.
Yeah, Mummy on the Orient Express.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, with
With
Foxes.
That's fine. Like, it just goes in, it's out, it's fine. But this whole thing with the whole cast and Scylla, who I had to look up and
pointless.
all that, God, come on.
It was just pointless, and it wasn't good, and it went on forever, and it just the funny thing is that you could do an edit. It's almost like, there's always a twist at the end, winks at the camera, ear. And there you go. End of episode. If you want to do a fan edit, and I will.
And your buddy H. Binger is in there too.
Yeah, he's that's right.
I'm just calling him
Yeah.
H. Binger from now because it sounds funny to me.
Yeah.
I think it was Neil in the chat for the live stream here who said that it would have been nice especially with Disney money, would have been nice to have had at least one actual Beatles song. And it could have been done at the end instead.
Could they have bought?
It could have been done at the end instead of the twist song.
That's the thing.
Well, to quote the Beach Boys, wouldn't it be nice?
Yeah. Also coming to Disney Plus. Because surely they couldn't they have bought a Ringo song? I mean, couldn't they have done Octopus's Garden or something like that?
Exactly.
This song, I mean, it went on forever, and there was apparently a couple Strictly Come Dancing cameos in there.
Who cares?
There you go. Have fun.
I mean,
with that.
again, I'm not the audience for this.
There were
Bear
two
that in
dancers
mind.
from Strictly that were labeled as or credited as themselves.
Yeah, Chris, what do you think? Because you're of the three of us the most musically inclined and for musical entertainment.
Yeah, the most
which is
tolerant of
really
this.
weird because I have no musical
exactly,
ability
but still
whatsoever,
you are,
unlike Steven, who plays drums and piano and whatever.
You're the one doing a Eurovision party after this. So, I mean, I think your thoughts are more important than ours. We already know how negative Nellies we are.
Yeah,
I didn't care for the song at all.
no, it's terrible. It's a bad song.
It was poorly written. I mean, the execution was fine. It was good. It was very High School Musical. But
that's a sentence I never want to hear again.
Yeah.
The execution was fine. Very High School Musical.
Yeah.
and I've never seen High School Musical. I only know about the High School Musical references from South Park. But nevertheless, it wasn't for me. Let's phrase it that way. I guess.
Yeah.
Well, we've decided no more. Forget it. No more.
I mean, I wish that, the song, I don't know what era the song thinks it belongs in. What always annoys me was, here's a song that sounds like it's, from the 1960s, and like all the guitars have like, distortion on them, and the drums are like super high processed. Like, this does not sound like it was made in the 90s. If you're going to make a song that sounds like it's from 1963, make it sound like it's from 1963. Also make it good, which neither of this is. I'm trying to, like, being the Doctor Who fan, like, we were trying to like explain away the Morbius multiple Doctor scenes for like 50 odd years, and now this is going to be our next thing. And basically, I feel like there was such an explosion of music that it sort of for a few minutes existed in the universe, and they sort of had to get it out of their system, so to speak. That's why the crosswalk has like like the keyboard scene from Big. Like there's music notes playing.
Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No need for that.
There's a lot of excess music kicking around the universe right now before it settles down again, and maybe that's why they had. But it was dumb. It was pointless. As I was watching it, it's like, oh wow, the duration of the episode is basically 45 minutes, and then there's a musical number tacked on again for no reason at all. Which means you can kind of ignore it at least. At least it just sort of happens and it's over.
True.
But it was bad.
Unless you want to, miss the trailer to Boom. But
that's true. That's true. Or you could just cut to the really, they should honestly, if Disney Plus is going to have skip intro, they should skip song. You just skip the song there, and then they have that.
I would pay extra for that feature.
No skip intro, just skip song.
I thought about it. I actually paused it because you can do that with streaming, and said, "Do I skip this?" No, I am duty bound to watch this. So I did sit through it and just go, "Fine, just wash over me."
On second watch, Erica was playing Baldur's Gate on the one TV. I had this on the second TV. I was watching it at proper volume. Then the song started. And I just let's just turn you down. Let's just turn you right down. Yeah. Oh, that was embarrassing. I didn't like that at all. I wonder what the we will think. I wonder what the new viewers
will love it. And good for them.
Maybe they will. I guess. I just hope that. Okay, so you've taken two big swings at doing a musical number in Doctor Who. I watched Church on Ruby Road again yesterday, just sort of on my iPad as I was working, leading up to 5 o'clock, and new Doctor Who, and I thought, I like this episode. This is really good. Like for the first 20 minutes, it's a lot of fun. Everything's having fun. Yep. And then,
then the goblins.
The goblin song where they're playing trumpet sounds on like seashells and everything like that. Like there's another thing where like, why are the sounds happening in this that aren't?
I'll give this song this. Yeah. It's way more of an earworm, even if I don't like it, than the goblin song is.
No, I don't remember.
Like it is stuck in my head, even though I'm not happy about it.
It's something that comes from Gremlins too.
Gremlins 2 is a far better goblin movie.
Just to mention another, you're probably not familiar with it. I don't know how you were, but the Austin Powers franchise, and I think it's the second one where Madonna does a great song, "Beautiful Strangers."
It is a good song, yeah,
fantastic. Yeah. But it sounds like it's from 1967. The way it's recorded, the way the sound, and here it's just like it's polished and it's just like big and brassy and bad, and it's like this is not 1963 music. If they,
ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Burt Bacharach.
I wouldn't have liked the song either way, but I think if they made a decent sounding song and a decent sounding period song, and not this just over the top energy nonsense that it was, maybe I would have been okay. I kind of see what they're doing with, but it just felt so out of place and dumb. And I just hope they've got it out of their system, because if
I doubt it.
If they attempted a full on musical episode of Doctor Who, it would be bad because there's 1/8 of your season gone down the tubes with that. But if this is the quality of musical numbers we would get.
If you're going to bring in Jinkx Monsoon for an over-top villain, bring in, I don't know, whoever the big Broadway person is, except Lin-Manuel Miranda. Absolutely do not do that.
No, get like the Arctic Monkeys or somebody to do
get some big British deal, whoever that might be. I don't know. I'm not qualified to tell you who that is.
Ed Sheeran, clearly.
Ed Sheeran. Get Ed Sheeran. Who, honestly, live, Ed Sheeran's amazing. Not that I've seen him live, but I've seen him on like TV shows.
My only
him as guitar in a loop box. It's amazing. It's amazing.
My only experience of Ed Sheeran is getting home from something else, and he had just let out, and I live a block from where he was playing, and these streets were filled. I mean, like filled, like in a movie filled. And I was like, so which is why I'm going to lockdown when Taylor Swift shows up in December in Vancouver, because like I'm literally going to pretend it's COVID, because you're not going to be able to get. And there's nothing against Taylor Swift. There's nothing against her fans. But I have to like hide because it's going to be lunacy here for 3 days.
I don't know. Her fans are bullies. Ooh.
So I've been told. I'm not going to slag her fans until I run into them on December 6th, 7th, and 8th, but I am going to basically act like I can't go out for 3 days because everything's going to be 5 times as expensive and crowded.
Anyway, I don't want the dumb song to overshadow the rest of the episode, which I mostly liked a lot more than I thought it would. But it does weigh on me.
I'm going to dive into my notes if that's okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
I don't have any
talking points.
I don't have anywhere near as much as I did for Space Babies, but some of it's already been covered. But nevertheless, we kind of touched on this. But is it cheesy or clever to have Maestro lead into the Doctor Who theme and the jukebox to have the end of it?
I kind of liked it.
Yeah, I didn't mind it. It was kind of fun.
Of all the over-the-top diegetic stuff in this or whatever, those are the least offensive, frankly.
Yeah,
I liked that the piano bit carried into the first few bars of the.
And I'm glad they didn't continue through. They mixed
credits.
it in.
Yeah.
When for the cold open, the kid whines about wanting something more exciting to play, so the tutor goes straight to something called the Devil's Chord.
Yeah.
Maybe he's like a Satanist.
The exclamation I put in my notes was OMG WTF BBQ. Like, what? Like, okay, it's 1925? Is that what it was?
25, yeah, 25, yeah.
There's got to be something upbeat you can play, like, oh, let's go straight to the Devil's Chord.
Do some ragtime, come on.
The church banned this because
I was going to say
Charleston?
ragtime was probably banned by the church too for racist reasons.
do a little Al Jolson. I don't know what the era had.
Please don't do any Al Jolson whatsoever.
Yeah, interesting note. The actor who played that music teacher was a guy by the name of Jeremy Lim, the son of BBC Radiophonic Workshop musical artist Roger Lim.
Well, that's cool.
Several episodes of Doctor Who. Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So
he was fine as that actor. I didn't have a problem with that character. Like
he's got bona fide music credentials. Then
it is funny how when you look at the episode, and Jinkx is supposed to be playing the piano, and Ruby's supposed to be playing the piano, and the Beatles are supposed to be playing the instruments, and it is quite clear.
Oh, they cut away quite a bit.
No one in this episode knows how to play any.
Yeah, there's a lot of angles of Shooty playing the piano like this, where you can't see his fingers,
especially Millie
and then
Gibson.
you see presumably a pianist's fingers doing the actual stuff.
Yeah, they were interviewing the John and Paul in the Unleashed, and this is so. Do you play music? No, I don't play at all. I don't play any musical.
Were they in character? Were they Daniel Day-Lewising this thing?
I've never played a guitar in my life. I've never done it.
Help us!
Yeah, it didn't. They didn't know how to play. Which it's. I remember watching Life of Rock with Brian Pern and Paul Whitehouse.
Highly recommended.
It's great, but quite clearly none of them actually play their instruments. And then we're so spoiled by This Is Spinal Tap, where they are accomplished players and comedic actors as well. Everyone's doing their own playing in This Is Spinal Tap because they're all skilled at it.
I mean, Brian Pern doesn't need to. He doesn't because
he's the vocalist. But
and he's also trying to get Wi-Fi for bears.
That's true.
It's so good. I love it so much. Drop the sonic device.
Yeah,
it's so damn funny.
Brian Pern. Anyway, your notes, Chris. Sorry, derailed us there. Off the Spinal Tap, but
I think I could have done without the apparent oral fixation from Maestro, because they had the conductor's baton in their mouth and the tuning fork in their mouth.
Surprisingly, I didn't even think about that.
No, I didn't think about that.
Maybe it just helps solo
Jinkx
character.
Eats
I don't
music,
know.
I kind of like she actually eats. I thought it was kind of neat. Actually, I don't know. I thought the effect actually of the musical bars and stuff is being used as.
It was well rendered. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. It is as I said earlier, a very Batman villain. But.
Oh yes,
and there's a pantheon. So what other Batman villains are coming our way?
Yeah, there's one. The one who waits. Who's going to be
the Riddler? Who's going to be Catwoman? Who's going to be?
Maybe it's Chris Waits. Maybe Chris Waits is the one that's coming. It's going to be the Catwoman coming out of the.
Maybe it's Chris Gaines, aka Garth Brooks from the '90s.
I'm sorry, that was a great album.
I forget that ever happened on a decade-long basis. And
we
then
didn't get rights to a Beatles song or a Garth Brooks song, but
now, I gotta say, any interview I've seen with Garth Brooks, he seems like a pretty level-headed guy for somebody who made $1 zillion, and like he seems like a pretty liberal dude. So he's all right in my books, as far until I hear otherwise.
Yeah, given the nature of his work, sure.
Yeah.
The costume change. So when Ruby says our clothes or my clothes, and then the doctor's like, oh, I got a bunch of wigs, whatever. When she says beehive, but just after they do the costume change and they come out, and just the tracking shot as they go down the ramps, and just such a great use of the console room.
Ben Chessel, very good direction.
Looked
in this.
phenomenal.
Yeah,
and I just love the cheek of it. It's like, well, we're changing clothes, and were we explaining how? Nope. Which I thought was great.
And it basically amounts to a montage.
Yeah,
more or less. I mean, we've seen it in Robot and Time of the Rondi too, where the doctor goes in, changes,
and Christmas Invasion,
Song for 10. Yep.
Yeah.
Cilla Black almost does the Barney theme song.
I had to look up who Cilla Black was.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't know who Cilla Black was. Erica was like, so who is Cilla?
I vaguely, I'm like, oh, that is a 60s big deal in Britain, but I don't know who
In
exactly.
England, didn't cross over here.
Cilla Black, you got Desi Springfield. Those are your probably a couple of your biggest ones. But no, because she does the whole I love you, you love me, very much approximating the Barney theme song.
I've stopped thinking about Barney since he was the target of edgelords in the early days of the internet.
Yeah.
He lives rent free in my brain permanently, I think.
Great. What a wonderful condition to have.
The world did not end in 1963, setting up the whole Pyramids of Mars parallel.
Yeah. That's very good, I thought.
Yeah, they did a good job of it.
Was it after the stuff on the roof? I don't know. When Maestro's on the left of the screen, the Doctor and Ruby are on the right, and they're just in this room somewhere.
Right.
It's like, quick, stop the episode for a PowerPoint presentation. As they talk about the...
I suppose.
Also, I like they go back to 1963 and everything's empty, a la every action movie of the 80s. Hey, we're going to have a big conflagration between He-Man and Skeletor in a small town that's somehow empty otherwise.
Yeah, it was kind of weird, actually, how there were no cars on the street when they
that might be
Abbey Road, but
thematically or moodily part of it because things are getting destroyed or whatever, but...
yeah. They are walking on a crosswalk, but, maybe everyone's locked inside because they're not listening to music. Maybe
the world has turned sour because of a lack of music.
Yeah, a lack of good music anyway. Yeah.
And then the last thing I had in my notes was there's a mention of music of the spheres.
That's true. That's not just a Doctor Who thing. That's an actual thing, though.
Is it an actual thing?
Exactly.
That's basically the soundtrack of 2001 is essentially that.
Yeah.
It's a Doctor Who thing in my books.
I know because there was a special thing that was related to, I think, Doctor Who the Prompt or something like that.
Something like that.
Also, alien mode and scale is a thing. I don't know how it means pertaining to this episode. That's another thing that I want to get Jess Jerkovic opinion on. So next episode, I'll check back with you on that and how that all pertains. But given that apparently the chord to banish Jinkx was a C major.
Nobody stumbled across this before.
Yeah, right. I feel like I played C major a lot of times. It's a pretty.
I'm not qualified to speak on music stuff, but it seemed that didn't ring true to me as an ignoramus.
Pretty common chord, and not actually the chord that the Doctor was. Well, he was going C and then G and then C again, an octave higher, and then another.
What I would have liked
to
have seen,
right? Okay,
would be. At the end, the sequence to banish Jinkx, Maestro, would be what Paul saw in his dreams.
A walrus?
A G, an E, a G again a couple times,
twice,
and a C.
And then maybe a C. Yeah.
That would have been a nice little tie-in, a little bow on the box.
And makes the Beatles the heroes.
Yeah, and those are so basic, generic. You can kind of tell that Russell T Davies doesn't know much about chords or how to play catch.
Well, I don't know either. So
as evidenced in
either of those things.
Yeah, in the giggle, it's like, how do you play? You just throw things, right? That's how it is. Okay. Well, what's music chords? I don't know. What are chords? G, I think. C's one.
Are you going to tell them otherwise? This is not to compare him to Elon Musk, but it's kind of like, hey, this Cybertruck looks like a good idea. Sure, whatever you say, boss.
Yeah,
like that. There's a little bit of that at play, maybe.
I suppose so, but it does speak to clearly Russell T Davies wrote this episode. It didn't say to Mary. So what are some chords? What are good chords?
You got Murray Gold right there in the studio. You could
right
ask
there. Him. Ask him a chord. What about a C major seventh, E suspended minor fourth, or something?
What's a good song? Well, I just happen to have this one in my back pocket.
Yeah. What do you think? What kind of chord do you think would banish a god of the pantheon to non-existence? I don't know. C major.
Something metal. That's what we needed. Some metal.
Didn't even work in D minor, the saddest of all chords into this. It was right there. They could have had a Spinal Tap reference in there.
You're talking musical gibberish to me.
They could have called it the Lick My Love Pump. But
they could have done.
Talk about... No, I'm not saying it.
Yeah. So,
I'm still not... Originally in my notes, I'd written down something along the lines of why in a world without music do we even have bands, orchestras, recording
studios? That is a fair point.
Things like that. And then as soon as I wrote that down, 5 seconds later, the Doctor's conversation with Paul McCartney gives the answer to that since the 20s, or as McCartney says, that it was since the 20s or 30s.
Yeah.
Music's just been going away, and then you find
They're
out
also
that
ashamed of their jobs.
you find out that Maestro feeds on the music that isn't produced, which okay,
I could
much
get
like a
behind
record
that.
executive.
but
Yeah.
I mean, there are worse things out there, I guess. But
I mean, the Weeping Angels feast on a life not lived, essentially. You know,
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah,
you know,
much scarier and
there's a
better
certain
actors.
Yeah,
frankly.
there's whoa.
And-
Yeah,
June Hudson. That's what I'm talking
June
about.
Hudson.
That's pretty great. I didn't know that, but yeah,
June
it's great.
Hudson, legendary costume designer from the 1970s, appears as the woman in the flat who plays Claire de Lune, who, as Erica pointed out to me, is old enough that she would remember.
She's what, 90?
Well, no,
Claire-
I mean,
when
in
Claire
the
de Lune came
episode,
out?
she would remember a time, the character that she was playing clearly was born before 1925, so
Right,
she
okay, yes.
would remember the time when music was there, and so she would play it, you know what I mean to say?
Gotcha.
Like,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
younger
yeah,
people
sure.
in there were probably, you know, not old enough to remember when music
Well,
was
you
good.
got you got
Like the
38
children who were born
38
after
years, so
9/11.
there's your age.
Yeah, exactly. But she remembered it, and so that's why she had a piano in the house, and that's why she played Claire de Lune, and then that's what got her killed, of course, as well. But yeah, first known costume designer, also appearing as an actor in Doctor Who. Don't at me. I don't know if Ken True or Pat Godfrey.
What's her name? Dorka.
Dorka Niardzik was a makeup designer.
Makeup, not costume?
I think.
Does insect movement count?
Or am I thinking of Anushka? I know there's two Niardziks, and I can't remember. Did one do costume and one did? I don't remember. I don't know my costume designers like I know my
You call yourself a
directors.
fan?
I know.
If we're gonna stick with Spinal Tap stuff, I'm just gonna. Well, I'll give the summary of this episode in the vernacular of
Oh
space.
no! Oh
In the
no!
vernacular of Space Babies, shizzle sandwich.
I was waiting for that.
That's stuff.
You can't say that.
If
You
God
can't
rested
dust
on
for vomit.
if God rested on on the seventh day, surely they could have found out the day He created Spinal Tap and rested on that day too.
Let's qualify all this. We are three middle-aged white dudes, more or less from Alberta.
Right.
We are not the audience for this musical episode.
Probably
And
not.
Like I said before, if you enjoyed it, I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
I'm not happy with you. I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
So I was, as we were watching stuff last night, Kat was asking about production order, and I had no idea, so I looked
I
it
actually
up.
don't know. No.
So apparently this is block 3 of
Makes
5.
sense. Right.
Ruby Road had its own production block. So 5 and 6 were shot first, then Ruby Road, and then 1 and 3.
5 and 6.
5 and
So
6
that's
first,
Dot and Bubble and Rogue. Okay. Yeah.
and then Ruby Road, and then 1 and 3 were shot, and then 2 and 5. 2 and 4. 2 and 4.
You're confusing me already now.
Yeah, I have no
Okay,
idea.
so first block was 5 and 6,
5 and 6. Dot and
And then-
Bubble and Rogue.
and then 0,
And then Church and Ruby Road.
and then 1 and 3,
And then Space Babies and Boom.
and then 2 and 4, and then 7
which is so Devil's Chord is quite late in the game. That's what you're saying.
and 7 and 8.
Okay.
So a lot of time to think about that in number, and they still did it.
Yeah, they still did it. They did indeed. I don't know if you noticed this, but we the Ruby Sunday thing is an ongoing thing, but also is the actor Susan Twist. Oddly, her name is Susan and Twist. There's a twist at the end. So Susan Twist is an actor who first played Isaac Newton's servant, helper, whatever it was,
Lady of the House.
Employee.
lady of the house. She then went on to appear as the hippie in Church on Ruby Road, or was it Church on Ruby Road? Yeah, it was Church on Ruby Road, the Christmas special. And then she appeared as one of the camera actually pushed in on her as one of the people on the space station, the Space Babies, giving their report.
Scalzi was her name.
Yes,
Yeah, which I thought was a reference to the sci-fi writer.
John Scalzi, possibly. She's also the dinner lady in this. And for those of you who watched the special, very sneak preview of Boom on the end of Doctor Who Unleashed, she's in that too. So she is a different character in all the episodes of Gatwa's premiere.
So
I don't know if she was in.
She's the Watcher?
Giggle. I don't know what she is, but clearly it's a thing. Clearly it's a thing.
RTD is a lot of things. Subtle ain't one of them. So we'll see. what this is all about.
Interesting. Did you find that on your own, or did somebody tip you off?
I knew that I mean, a lot of people are talking about it, that she's in there, but I now I've been looking.
I've yet to be on Facebook or Twitter.
A lot of people are saying about Susan Twist.
Yeah, well, people mentioned that that she was in both the Wild Blue Yonder and Church on Ruby Road, and so that was the thing and then people started to like, oh, wait a second, something's going on here. And
Interesting.
So when they saw the camera linger in Spay Pieces, okay, there's a pattern here. You can't tell me different, Paul McGann. There's a pattern.
And we still don't know what's going on with Mrs. Flood. So what's the deal there? So there's multiple old lady mysteries.
Oh, RTD loves his old ladies even more than John Nathan Turner. RTD loves his old ladies.
Mrs. Flood wasn't in either of these two, right?
No.
I don't think so, no.
Because she was invited to the premiere with Brian May.
No, I mean, anytime you can invite Brian May to a premiere, no offense.
Or the woman who played Mrs. Flood, because she was in Ruby Road. What the hell? I mean, why wouldn't you invite her?
Well, no, Anita Dobson did show up at the premiere for...
Yeah, for 1 and 2.
That's what I mean. Like, they're friends with her or whatever. Like, so why not invite her?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
I don't think it doesn't matter if she's in the episode itself.
Yeah, no, she's not in the episode proper.
Wasn't Sylvester McCoy at the premiere? I don't think he was in the episode. So.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Different story for him, I'd say, but yeah, maybe.
So,
I don't know. So, Steven, you like them both?
Yes, apart from some obvious, the musical number was terrible, and but other than that, I actually quite enjoyed them. So, yay to that! I'd give it a 7 to an 8 out of 10 if we gave rankings, basically. I don't know.
We're not.
We don't have to
tavern,
do that.
So
I'm middling on this one. I quite like Space Babies, but this is of the 3 Ncuti Gatwas of the Ncuti Gatwa era. This is my least, except for that silent sequence, which is great.
Superb. Yep. Some good stuff. Overshadowed by some bad stuff. Let's hope. Let's see how things continue next week when we talk about Boom. But
the thing about Boom is that trailer shows us absolutely nothing, and as we all know in the RTD era, that is a good sign.
It's a very good sign indeed.
Well, even Ncuti Gatwa in some interview came out saying that his favorite episode was Boom.
But he would say that though, just to...
Well, maybe it is. Who knows?
Yeah.
We don't know why.
Whereas Ncuti and Millie really love Rogue, whereas they just keep calling it Regency.
Regency, yeah.
Yeah, because it's episode 6, but...
That has very strong over-the-top possibilities.
That was
but
also
it'd be fun for lots of things.
Given episodes 5 and 6 were the first shooting block, then that's just been in their brains the longest, I suppose. So it's had the it's had the most amount of time to be liked by them,
right? And the costumes are pretty cool in that too. But
yep,
RTV is back, baby. Whether you like it or not. That's
also what actors like in a thing isn't necessarily what the audience is going to like in a thing. Actors have their own legitimate reasons for liking a thing they did.
Yeah.
So far, I think a lot of the stuff that I haven't liked or haven't liked as much is directly attributable to RTD and his writing style, and I don't think that's going away.
No, it's not. It's absolutely not. He's come back stronger and more powerful than you could possibly imagine. So,
dear God, he literally has.
He has Obi-Wan himself.
A little bit.
Yeah.
No.
So we'll see where the rest of this season takes us and whatnot. But I mean, RTD's back. Like it or love it. Like it or don't.
You there? What's your name? RTD Skywalker.
Yeah.
Are we done?
Yeah.
Are we done with the 2 episodes in question?
Yep.
Been here a long time. So. It's a long episode. We got some news to talk about, but what do you got there, Chris? Yeah.
No,
it's it. All right.
I'm good. I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to Boom.
Me too.
Also very much.
Me too.
I gotta say, Chris, the first RTD era, you would have been much more venomous about all this than you are now. You're a mellow fellow.
True. Yeah.
I concur. But by the same token, I was also in 2005. I was so looking forward to
that's true.
Dr. Dance or Empty Child Dr. Dances, waiting for the Moff to do his thing, and that hasn't changed. We just get it a lot sooner this time than
I
2005.
Also definitely want to see what the Moff's up to.
Yeah, me too.
He's had a few years to think about this stuff.
Me too. Suspense episode. But,
and there's do we know which one it is? So there's the thing with RTD talking about having an idea in like 2010 and running it past Moffat at the time. Moffat saying, "Oh, we can't do this because of some logistical reason."
Yeah, he did mention Dot and Bubble. I think it was.
Is it okay?
I think it's Dot and Bubble. Yeah, I think that's the one that he mentioned.
I get the impression it's something from this season.
Yeah,
but I wasn't quite positive.
Yeah, I think it's Dot and Bubble.
Okay.
Moving on then to the news, but we already mentioned Doctor Who Unleashed is available for purchase on iTunes in North America, at least for the specials. Don't know yet if it's when they're going to release them for or at all for whatchamacallit, for season 1 here.
Well,
But
they're charging $10 for the season.
$10 for the whole season. 4
Better
episodes.
be more than just a few.
Yeah.
I hope.
There was an interesting thing. So Russell T Davies was interviewed in a lot of places the past week, but he in the Men's Journal, he was interviewed about Doctor Who and stuff like that. And I thought there was a really intriguing quote that came out in the Men's Journal article, where he said, "It's a funny thing." I sound a bit didactic about it, blah, blah, blah. But he says there was one actor in one episode many years ago who rewrote all his dialogue, and I very grudgingly accepted it. What happens is that character disappears from the story because he falls out of the rhythm of the action around him. It affects performance in ways that no actor can quite see. And he says it's amazing to watch. We do it on purpose, but I watched that character disappear, which is a lovely character. And then he says, "Ooh, that sounded didactic, didn't it?" Taking a sip of tea. And it led me to think, what actor was that? Because I have theories.
Please, I want to hear them because you're better at actors than I am.
It'd be somebody in his era, obviously. So
my guess is an actor who rewrote a lot of his dialogue, and they didn't really push back on it because they were probably new. So you're probably thinking season 1. My guess is it was Simon Pegg in The Long Game, because I feel like that's the kind of dialogue that would sort of be rewritten a lot. And just like thinking of this is all guessing on my part, just thinking about where Doctor Who was at the time, early days,
and where Simon Pegg was.
RTD wasn't pushing back. It was an entirely new production block. Long Game was, because they were running behind so much. They had to create a whole production block directed by Brian Grant, and they probably thought Eccleston's probably on the verge of leaving at this point, so it's a low ebb for that, and they probably just think, just get it done. Just get it done. Get it shot.
Shaun of the Dead come out at that point?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, then he would have, his star would be on the rise.
He was the
and he
thing.
wrote it, so I mean, him and the other guy.
And Space is there. So that is my guess. My guess is Simon Pegg was the one that sort of like rewrote all his...
And he'd worked with Edgar Wright, who was a certifiable genius, so I can see him not having time for people he didn't regard as that level of genius, right? Also, the way that episode's written, he's mostly in that little room interacting with two people, so it gives him more leeway to do that, right?
Yeah,
structurally speaking.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my guess. As I say, it's just a guess, but that's what I think anyway. But RTD confirms a more diverse set of writers for season 2 of the show. He said this in the Radio Times, or he said the Radio Times reported. He probably said it somewhere else, but yeah, I like that he sort of like, is aware of the fact that he has written most of the episodes in season 1.
It's hard to be less diverse than mostly that one guy.
And wants to spread it out for season 2, which of course is already in the can. Essentially, I think they're still shooting some stuff without the stars of the show, so they're probably still doing production, but nothing that requires the actual stars. So that's all done. So that's good. So there you go, Chris. If you're not a fan of RTD's writing, you might have less of it to deal with in the next.
I am a fan of some of his writing. Like, I like a lot of stuff he does. Just some things I don't. I'm saying with Moffat, honestly. I've slated more than one, way more than one against the other. But yeah,
I've said it before, and I'll happily say it again. RTD is an amazing producer.
Yep,
he is an amazing champion for the show.
He's great at characters.
Not a big fan of his writing.
No,
and he's great at big emotional moments, but sometimes maybe not so much.
As long as they're not set to music, basically.
Yes.
I'm going to resurrect the term RTD blue balls, because he is great at the build up.
Nobody asked for that.
The delivery and the climax are not there.
Right. So far, we'll see how he's matured a little bit. Yeah, I suppose as the season
and here's
goes
the thing: like, most people love the Tennant and the RTD era more than anything else. Like, and I don't agree with them, but that doesn't mean they're wrong.
Yeah.
There's some stuff with Ncuti's characterization and performance that really reminds me of early Tennant, that it really rubs me the wrong way.
Really?
The over.
He seems like his own guy to me, but
the overexcitement at the smallest thing.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I brought
but that feels Ncudi-ish to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I brought this up to Kat last night as we were watching the stuff, and she's like, "Well, he is the he dealt with his crap as the 14th Doctor. He's the therapy doctor, whatever. So yeah, maybe he can be excited and whatever. And, okay, fine. I'll see where that goes. But there's some parallels with early Tennant that led me to really hate the Tennant Doctor.
And I have to praise RTD for making the therapy doctor. I thought that was actually kind of an interesting take to have this guy finally solve all these problems, so they're not dogging him through the next 14 regenerations. I thought that was kind of cool. And having Tennant, even though I was really worried about Tennant playing a 14th Doctor, I like how he played it as a more mature version of that person. So I thought that was really cool. So I'll give RTD that. At base level, that is RTD stuff.
I think it's testament to Tennant's acting ability and RTD's writing. That the maturity came through as evidently as it did.
Yeah. And it gives him carte blanche for Ncuti and whatever other doctors to do new and interesting stuff. Some of which is going to be over-enthused, I'm excited stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to have your lead character excited about things, I suppose, about wanting to. I did like that. Well, I do it for days like this. This is
I'm happy to be alive.
I don't have a job. I love the line. We nearly died, but we lived so much. I think yes, we did. Yes, we did. Okay, when you factor it in, we lived about 600% here and almost died as well. And it kind of, Yeah.
Devil's Chord, one thing we haven't mentioned yet that I did like was where he's like, that split me in half, and I don't think I can do that again. I'm like, okay, so there are actual consequences for bigeneration. Yeah. I like that you did that as opposed to just wacky bigeneration. Now it's, there's actually something to this.
Split his soul in half, he says.
I mean, it's hand waving a bit, sure, but I did like that there's more to it than just what we saw as a gimmick, right? So.
Yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, he does, had traveled alone. Whatever, he's got the whole, the weight of the genocide at the time, or the Daleks, the Master, the whatever, weighing him down. Is there really anything wrong with him being excited when Ruby says, "I want to see the Beatles"?
No,
there's nothing wrong with that.
Also, this just dark thought occurred to me. So he's like, "I've been split in half. So what's the solution to that at the end of season 1? Well, what could it be? The other Doctor that's kicking around." So
no,
I
RTD
believe it for a second. I don't believe it.
Yeah,
I don't believe a word he says.
I do believe it. I think RTD knows that this is Ncuti Gatwa's show. He's the
father of lies.
No,
he's the father of lies.
This is Ncuti Gatwa's show now.
RTD has also said no Daleks, no Cybermen, no whatever. I do believe that as well.
I believe that.
We'll see. I don't trust him, honestly.
When the way you're putting it, though, is they need a rest. When your reasoning is saying they're tired and we need to take a break for them, it's going to be like, but we're bringing it back anyway, because then it just he's counteracting himself.
It just I don't know. Like
Chibnall did the same thing with series 11, where there's no old returning monsters.
I don't want to see this happen. I'm just saying I would not be surprised if it did. Because it seems like a gimmicky kind of thing that RTD couldn't resist.
I mean, if they have shot them, they haven't appeared in public. Let's put it that way.
I suppose,
yeah. So because not that I follow set reports that much, but whenever a Dalek or a Cyberman appears on location, it gets through the filters.
Tennant gets the same level of attention. So yes, I mean, I'm just being a negative Nelly, frankly. So
well, that's not surprising, Warren.
Yeah, I'm on brand. Just like RT's on brand with over the top nonsense, I'm on brand with negativity.
That's true. Speaking of RTD, our good friend Kyle Anderson talked with him and Ncuti and Millie Gibson on the Nerdist channel. Links in the show notes. It was a very good chat. There are a few of the press junket interviews there, but Kyle had the genius
best.
The best. It was my favorite because Kyle asked him, because Kyle, of course, hosts Doctor Who, the writers' room as well. Asked Russell T Davies what writer of classic Who first turned you on. I've never heard people ask him that. So and he mentioned
what writer did you really take notice of their name?
Yes, and it was Terry Nation for RTD.
In this picture, I'm getting strong Terrence Dix vibes off of RTD.
RTD, yeah, he pretty much wore that same outfit throughout his whole week in LA and New York, which stood out from what Ncuti Gatwa and Millie Gibson were wearing.
Well, literally. I'm sure you had a different outfit each shot of an interview.
That's true. Also, there was a great interview. The YouTube version is in the show notes on Canadian radio. Ncuti Gatwa was on CBCQ on Friday. And it was great too, because it's like a sit down over Skype or Zoom or whatever like that. But it's like about 20 minutes long. And it's a little more long form chat than the sort of the
Q's known for that.
Yeah, the soundbitey stuff that you sort of might have heard during the press junket. It's a good interview. You really get to know Ncuti Gatwa. There's time to breathe in it, which I don't think you get when it comes to the press junket stuff. When you have 7 minutes to, give us the buzzwords and all that.
Him and all three of them have just been run ragged, I'm sure, through this whole thing. So they must be exhausted.
Yeah, well, it didn't show in that interview. It was a good interview. So check it out. Links to the show notes. There's a special ident for what was it right before EastEnders? I think it was. Yeah, where the audio sort of cut out and it was like Doctor Who. It says, "Oh, this is not 1966 or something," and oh, here's EastEnders on Doctor Who.
They love doing that kind of stuff
on the BBC.
Yeah, on the BBC. So that was kind of fun. Oddly enough, I heard that like the public presence in the UK was nowhere near as much as it was in North America for the premiere of this. Like, it wasn't even on many magazine covers. Radio Times is all about Eurovision. Although they had the week prior was Doctor Who. Like, there wasn't a lot comparatively for a brand new era of Doctor Who for coverage, where, as we've mentioned here, on this podcast, literally every commercial break, including last night.
Mm-hmm. CBC News, I saw tons of it.
Yeah. On
hockey games.
Yeah, like intermission breaks in hockey, which I understand this is Canada. Right now, the Oilers and Canucks are playing in the playoffs. So all Canadian matchup. Boo. In the Leafs game, Leafs are huge draws, obviously. Like, there was Game 7, Leafs Bruins, and there was like Doctor Who ads there. Like, that's watched by millions of people, like 2 to 3, 4 million. And so many people, my mom, my Luddite mother said, "Oh, there's that new Doctor Who show coming, I guess." Is that right? To think, well, there you go. You've literally reached everyone now, because if my mom knows about Doctor Who.
My mom couldn't care less.
Yeah.
Keep on trucking, Mom.
I've heard nothing like that from my mother either.
No. Well, I don't know. I'm curious to see what if there are any ratings per se when it comes to Disney Plus. If what the numbers will be.
They don't release numbers that I've ever seen, and I don't expect that's going to change.
No.
But we're still going to get dun stats.
Yeah, next week. We'll have BBC One numbers for next week, I assume.
Which I'm genuinely curious about, just to see this one time, Warren, just to see how it goes over.
Nah, come on. Every time stats show up, you're curious. Give me a break.
I'm mostly curious because it annoys you. Hey,
that's still curious.
I know there's a new gold metallized edition of the 14th Doctor's Sonic Screwdriver coming on July 5th, which is goldish kind of thing, as opposed to the previous version, which was what, plastic, or is this just a new version? I don't know, but if you
about $50,
it's about $50 if you're a Sonic Screwdriver collector. I think I'm waiting for Ncuti Gatwa's version of it myself. I want to have that.
Yeah, totally. Which hopefully comes out by August, because then I can just waltz into some store in England when I'm over there and buy it. So speaking of that, I was talking to Stephen about this yesterday. I was checking out, I was watching Ruby Road again, and I was checking out his trainers, his shoes, his running shoes. And I'm like, those are damn fine looking running shoes. So I was like, I wonder if I can get those in England. And it turns out they're very expensive. But the store is 10 minutes away from my hotel near Piccadilly. So I'm like, yeah, I'm probably going to go over there and buy them. I'm probably going to get these things.
I believe it or not.
Is that for like a Sports Director or JD or something?
It starts with a G. I can't remember the exact name. I've got the link somewhere. But they're expensive, fancy running shoes. But I'm like, you know what? How much money do I spend on stuff? Not that much. What the hell? Maybe I'm going to get these.
They're a lot of money. I know this because the Idiot's Lantern live improv at Gallifrey 1, the troupe there, wanted to get these shoes for their skit. And oddly enough, they were only available in the UK and Canada. They wouldn't ship to the US. Here. So Bob Mitch emailed me about a week and a half before Galley or something like that. It says, listen, can you do me a solid? Can I have these sent to you, and then you can forward them on or pass them along? And so I got these shoes. I literally had these shoes, which would have fit me.
You're a shoe mule.
As a mule, but I immediately just forwarded them off so that they would have them, because I didn't think I'd have enough room to carry on for these shoes. But I can confirm they're like $300. They were expensive.
Yeah, I'm just, I was talking to my sister because she's going on the trip with me, and she's like, what the hell? Screw it. Do it, man. Yeah. So I'm like, well, all right. So I think I might just blow the $300, because how often do I do this? Like, I have boots that I bought for about that, and they're about 20 years old.
Spend the money on the shoes, not Madame Tussauds.
I'm not going to. That was never coming up. That was never a thing, Chris.
Yeah.
I'm going to go take pictures of Magna Carta, though. I can assure you of that.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you for that.
Happy Magna Carta Day, by the way.
Exactly.
Yeah, happy Magna Carta. Out as of yesterday on ebook, by the way, is the relic for the Doctor Who production diary by David Brunt, The Hartnell Years from Tellus Publishing. It's literally just a diary of everything that happened to Doctor Who throughout the 1960s in William Hartnell's era. It is a book made especially for me, and I pre-ordered it on my Kindle app on my iPad. And it is there. I haven't read it at all, apart from going into it. It says, yep, this is exactly what I wanted. It's a production diary. If we ever bring the time lash back again, we're using this as a template.
I can foresee you putting on some soft music and lighting some candles and bringing out your iPad to read the book.
But okay.
Yeah, just like what happened today. Where are we on May, whatever, 11th?
That's how you practice mindfulness.
That's true. Coming soon, a Doctor Who murder mystery with Bonnie Langford and Jacqueline Rayner. Death in the Stars, ostensibly written by Bonnie Langford. It's almost entirely Jacqueline Rayner, I bet.
Jack Rayner has the best Twitter handle ever, the girl from Blupo.
Oh, I love that.
It makes me laugh every time I see it.
Yeah, that's coming out August 22nd anyway. Bonnie Langford has read the novel, the audio novelization, but yeah, I bet you Jacqueline Rayner has pretty much written everything.
I mean, good for both of them. What the hell? Yeah. Good for Jack Rayner for writing it, good for Bonnie Langford for probably throwing some ideas at her.
Maybe.
Well, it wouldn't be. It probably wouldn't have gotten made without Bonnie Langford. So there's that.
That's true.
Not that I'm one to praise movie execs, which she would be in this situation that we've concocted out of thin air. We have no idea. Maybe she's been writing this thing this whole time.
That's a good point. It's a good point. The annual Big Finish Paul Sprague Memorial Short Trip Opportunity is now open from now to the end of June. So submit your stories, your ideas and stuff, and they do this every year. Basically, randos like us could submit an idea. And,
I'm tempted this year. I say that every year. I did it once or twice and didn't get anywhere, but I might do it again just for the hell of it because it's about the Time War this time. So.
Oh, are you allowed to use that? Is that
you are allowed to use the Daleks? I wouldn't, just because why use it as a crutch? But you can.
Because RTD's bringing it back right away, so according to you, so yeah.
No, I've never said according to me. I'm just wouldn't be surprised to see it.
Right.
Given his predilections for lying.
I understand. What else we got here? There's some Big Finish. The Fourth Doctor Adventures Dominant Species is due September of this year, which features Dominators and Quarks.
Harry as a Dominator.
That is great.
Amazing.
Yeah, whether or not that actually turns out to be true, or if that is a ruse by the Big Finish cover artist.
The hunched Dominator head, they got that perfect.
They do, yeah. So we'll see about that.
And I think that's more quarks on the cover than actually existed in 1968.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more amused by the idea of that story than the story itself, but...
Yeah, this is often the case with Big Finish.
No, I meant Dominators, the original.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, I got you. Also, there's a Humble Bundle, the new Titan Comics Doctor Who Humble Bundle. It includes the Free Comic Book Day one that came out on Free Comic Book Day on May 4th. Links in the show notes for all that. You can get
it's like $36
for a ton of comics.
For $36, yeah. Most of which I won't read. I think I've done this before, and then they're all on my iPad somewhere.
I know.
I've never gotten around to it.
Yeah, I more financially support initiatives like this more so than actually read.
Same here. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah,
it's all for a good cause.
It's all for a very good cause.
Which one, but it's a good one, I'm sure.
Yep. A couple convention shoutouts. Long Island 2 is coming, of course, in August 23rd to 25th, with a whole heap of guests. That being, I'm trying to read them off here: Colin Baker, Nicola Bryant, Mark Strickson, Fraser Hines, Trevor Cooper from Star Cops. Yi So, Colin Spall, Terry Malloy, Dominic Lynn, Jason Halery, oh my God, Jonathan Watson, Nev Fountain, Blair Shed, and John Peel, all coming to L.I. Who in August 23rd to 25th. And then, of course, Gallifrey 1 tickets on sale. The hotel block is pretty much all sold out, although they might have more.
Was that this Monday or was that last Monday? Last Friday.
Last Friday? The hotel block was last Friday.
8 years ago.
Yes, it's all a blur.
Yeah, but of course, tickets available for Gallifrey 1. So do come along. Gallifrey 1 is going to be a grand old time.
With lots of Beatles cosplay, I'm sure.
How are we going to see any Jinkx Monsoon
I
cosplay?
guarantee it.
Oh, God,
Somebody's
yes.
going to do that.
We're
There's
gonna see
no
some
way in
Jinkx
hell they
Monsoons.
don't.
How many different Ncuti Gatwa outfits are we going to see at Gallifrey
So many.
One?
All of them.
Yeah, it's going to be a ton.
Good.
Which
I'm
one
looking
are
forward
you
to
going to
that.
wear, Stephen?
The Ncuti Gatwa one? Well, I have, speaking of shoes, I sort of have some like stealth cosplay kind of shoes that are kind of like the same color scheme, but not quite the same shoes. So I'll wear those shoes, which I bought for fun.
And I'll probably, if I buy these things, I'll probably wear those for sure.
Yeah. And I don't know what else I'll have.
Rings. Lots of rings.
You can do up your nails like he has.
You haven't really got a close up of those yet.
I wouldn't be
nails in
wouldn't
the
be
show.
surprised to see somebody like with a nail station at Gallifrey One to do that.
That'd be a great idea, actually. Yeah.
That'd be a great. I'd do it for charity or something. Charge
Yeah.
like a buck a figure
Put it
or
outside,
something.
like where all the food trucks are or something like that.
That's a fun idea. Or in the dealer room or something like that. Yeah.
Anyone who wants to do that, please take that idea. It's yours.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's yours.
It's not like I could do it.
Our gift to you.
Mhm.
I think that's it for our episode, everyone. Next week, so Boom is airing Saturday, May 18th at 6:50 p.m. on BBC One. Or on iPlayer, which is where you'll have watched it to watch our live stream review.
Or
for those of you who are listening to this podcast, we're doing the live stream YouTube reviews, and of course our episodes are on YouTube as well now. But we're slightly later next week because we don't have 2 episodes to talk through. We review Boom next Saturday at 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. in the UK. So you can listen to our review of an episode before it airs on BBC One. But so that's what's going to be. That's pretty much going to be the time, I think, for the rest of the series. If you're looking to book in the calendar, we might have to fudge times here and there after that. But that's pretty much most of the time. And of course, our episodes come out on Sunday, as per usual. Anyway, if you don't want to tune in for this, so
I like how Millie Gibson looks very apprehensive about our live stream.
she's a little bit concerned
These
about
fools.
it on the photo that we're showing here. But yeah, a little bit strange. But yep, Stephen Moffat returns. Everyone, Stephen Moffat's coming back for Doctor Who.
I'm going to throw on the horns for the Moff.
I'm excited. Yeah.
A little bit, yeah, us too.
Don't let us down, the Moff.
Nope. All right, kids. It's been a long episode. Thank you for your patience as we reviewed 2 episodes at once for the first time, and hopefully last time. Let's face it, season 2 of they'll probably do the same thing.
Yeah.
So
Watch them drop 3 at once or something.
Oh, how dare you! Don't ever do it, Disney, please. But we will see you next week when we review Boom here on Radio Free Skaro. So until next time, I am Stephen at Edmonton.
Or in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
So long for now.